Hollywood is getting eaten up. This was really interesting story that you put in our planning document. I do appreciate that. If you'd bring up the story.
Yeah, I'm
And
just
George,
formatting this. Okay.
Are you just speaking your inner monologue? I'm going to
Yes, I
find
am.
the story and then I'm
Thanks,
going
keep talking. You know,
Hey!
when it's silent, keep talking. And I go, okay.
Oh my God.
So let's get it started.
Oh my! Hey, it's Friday. I'm in a good mood. Even though I'm pre-coffee. Okay, so George Clooney has thoughts on Hollywood. He has some thoughts. This is from IndieWire. I actually think that he doesn't say these words, but if you could read what he says, and I will interpret and tell you what he means. And we've been saying this a long time. Go ahead, Alan, if you would.
Let's do this. George Clooney is lamenting conglomerates taking over Hollywood. The actor told GQ UK that Studio Paramount, which has long been on the market, is akin to a mom and pop shop nowadays. Paramount's one of the great original studios, but some of it you just have no say in. Because the business, it's always getting eaten up. It's like everything. It's all getting eaten up by big Walmarts and Amazons around the world. Our version of mom and pop shops in the small town is Paramount. Of course, Amazon bought out MGM Studios and has its own Amazon Studios. It also has a streamer, Prime Video. Walmart, meanwhile, has not quite gotten into the filmmaking realm yet, aside from Pitch Perfect Faux, Mean Girls sequel, featuring most of the 2004 cast. Clooney continued that the studios are not as invested in actors anymore compared to the days of old Hollywood. They haven't developed stars the way the studio system used to. We kind of were at the very end of that, where you could work at a studio, do 2, 3, or 4 films, and there was some plan to it. And I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. So it's harder for you to sell somebody something on the back of a star. He added, but it's a great time as a young actor, because when I was a young actor, if you looked at the back of the LA Times every Monday morning, they had 64 shows that were made. And of those 64 shows, if you're actually on one of them, you're trying to be on the top 20 to keep your show on the air. But that was it. Then the studio were doing 5 films a year, and there were 600 shows, so there was a lot of work for actors.
Well, here's what he means. There's 2 takeaways from this. One, the studios are not developing new talent.
Mm-hmm.
Not bringing up talent. You know, you do a small romantic comedy, you do a little thriller film here. You build up actors that learn the business and get good at being on camera. The bigger comment, the industry is becoming too corporate.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations are gobbling things up, and they are all data driven. You don't, roll the dice and take a risk on a young filmmaker like a George Lucas or a Steven Spielberg. And then it's not about just taking a risk on people like that, which is what the studios did early in their careers, but you let them do what they want. You give them creative freedom. There is no creative freedom. I think that will come up later today when we talk about Alien Romulus, but it's the industry is becoming way too corporate. And look, the biggest streaming service next to YouTube is Netflix, and they are very data driven. So he's very astute, but it's like, dude, everything's too corporate. Indie films are not corporate. Do something outside the system. You know, the studios can buy an indie movie and release it, but work outside the system. That's where all creativity lies. And anyone working today that is creative, like a Chris Nolan, he eschews or he stands apart from the big studios. He does his thing, and it's like, here's this movie I made. Maybe you can make some money from it. We'll see. I mean, Nolan's a whole separate thing. But what I'm saying is the
Mhm.
people that succeed are the ones that shun corporatism. What is your interpretation of this?
Yeah, again, Hollywood's not the dream. It is becoming too corporate. The biggest problem was, these corporations buying the old studios, and not because they wanted to make more movies. It's because they wanted the content. They wanted the library. There's value in that. And when you have Apple, when you have Apple, who's a computer, company, phones, programming, and the like, they don't know anything about making movies. And so again, that's where he's right. The movie industry is not being nurtured; it's not being grown, and I think that's where indie film has to step in and say, "All right, we're gonna take a step back." And it's sad. I think the only solution is for indie filmmakers to. I mean, you're gonna have to make your movie apart from the system. You're just not going to get Hollywood money anymore. You're going to have to find a different way to get your movies funded, make a great movie, and then if you're lucky, you'll hit the jackpot, and then one of the big studios or the big streamers will buy it from you, and then you can go out and make your new one.
Look, Clooney is smart. He has a producing partner named Grant Heslov, who I knew back in the day in the early 2000s. Grant Heslov made an indie film that I programmed at a festival. Grant became friends with Clooney. They make movies together.
Yeah.
Clooney's smart. He knows that. He's also
but Clooney has.
He's also worked with Steven Soderbergh.
Mm-hmm.
He has to recognize this. Separate yourself. Create a new thing. Get a fund and take some risks on smaller films.
Yeah, but what the advantage Clooney has is he has access to that money, to that Hollywood money. I think he has to start the ball rolling. He has to create the nest egg, but he can get to the table, which not a lot of filmmakers can do. Soderbergh, Soderbergh, God love him. He became famous. He became rich from being famous, and now he can do his own thing. It's just tougher nowadays, and you've got to be that guerrilla filmmaker nowadays if you want to get your film made and get it out there. I think the other big problem is, not only does Apple own a production company, but they own distribution. They own distribution for a lot of movies, it's just a matter of time before they buy some movie chain so that they can show their movies. I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but all those mystery movies, the Monday night mystery movies, they're all Apple movies.
Right.